Hi guys. I can see that a bunch of you are already online. I'm super happy you decided to join a minute ahead so that you can get comfortable. And we'll give the rest of the signups a couple of minutes to settle in. We have Given or Juvon, maybe from South Africa. We have Nilay joining from Frankfurt, Alex from Leeds, Redouane from Paris, Sophia from Stockholm. I love it when you tell me where you're joining from. It feels like the Eurovision, but global. Hello from Oslo. Good morning. So it's 11 now, but I think we'll just jump right into it. We don't have any time to spare. I'm super excited and grateful that you decided to spend the upcoming 45 minutes with me. We have so much to go through today because this morning I've created 22 videos that I'll show you. Some of them are a bit shorter, of course, and some of them are almost like over a minute. So we'll see how many we can watch together. But the main reason we're here is I'm going to give you ideas and just make you feel like you have a lot of great stuff on your plate. You have a lot of stuff on your plate. I just want to remove some of those hurdles, like the ideation hurdle. So let's get going. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. It's called 22 Video Ideas to Inspire You. This is the little agenda for today. We'll talk about, as always, posting frequency, content velocity, why it's so hard to sometimes keep up with today's digital fast-paced landscape. We know all of that. We're in this business. But coming up with new ideas can be really hard. And I know that a lot of marketers, we always try to look for the new and shiny things. And we kind of feel like we want to reinvent or like build a wheel every time we get to work in the morning. But we don't have to do that because we have a lot of great stuff to pick and choose from that we've already created. So let's use that. We're going to talk a little bit about how to maintain this consistency and the impactful social presence that you need today as a marketer on social media. And I'll show you how you can give your website, your blog, your case studies, reports, newsletters, text posts, all that a second life with video, because you've already spent time, energy, resources into creating these longer pieces of text probably, and we're going to give them the attention that they deserve. If this is your first time, we have over 200 signups today, and I saw that almost half of you guys are in this type of webinar with me for the first time. So a special welcome to you, and very welcome to those of you who've joined me before. If you haven't met me, I'm Heidi. I work with social things on StoryKit, our social channels, our own channels. I do webinars, community building activities, events, a lot of fun things. The last time, or maybe a couple of webinars ago, I had a webinar called The Correlation Between Success on Social Media and Distribution. And it seems like I failed to actually give you enough context or like put you in the same scene with me, because I got the question afterwards, what do I mean with content distribution? When I'm talking about content distribution, what am I referring to? So I thought that we could actually just, again, set the scene and make sure that we're on the same page. So put shortly, content distribution is a process of sharing your content, the blog articles that you've written, the ebooks that you've published, the videos that you've created, the case studies, the reports, the newsletters, all of that, putting that on a platform in a suitable format. But when we're talking about content distribution, we're actually more talking about message distribution, because all of those things, the long reports and the articles and the newsletters, they contain so many valuable messages that you can just keep on pushing out to make sure that it really sticks with your audience. So it's not just about pushing out the physical thing like an ebook, but actually amplifying the key messages and the ideas and your point of views that you have within that piece of content. And that can look something like this: how we turn one article that our content manager, Maddie, has published, and we turn those into, of course, video, because we love video at StoryKit. And we turn them into snackable and probably more digestible pieces of content. And this is what helps us, take one article and keep distributing that in a way that is suitable for the audience on social media, in a way that is digestible and nice to watch, more or less. So one article can turn into 6 snackable pieces. It can turn into 10, into 2 pieces. You can decide. And it can also look like something like this. Also a slide that our content manager created. So WizOwl is a company that every year publishes a state of video marketing in 2024, 2025. And one of those sections, one section in that report can turn into multiple pieces as well. And why do we need to turn one really good piece of article into a lot of different pieces? Well, 2 reasons. The first one, and you've probably seen this before if you've joined us on a webinar before, but social media used to be considered somewhat of a display window. So we put efforts and hours into writing a really nice, informative, educational, what you will have it. And we clicked on publish. We published that link on Facebook or LinkedIn or Reddit. But and this brings, think of the huge accounts on Facebook back in the days, like BuzzFeed and Lad Bible. They used Meta, Facebook, as a display window, because they knew that, okay, here's Meta and Facebook, and there's millions and millions of people using this platform. We'll just use Facebook as a window to drag people to our website, to our accounts. And that worked for a long time. It made sense because they had an audience of 2 million people, and they just made sure to bring those to their own website. But long gone are those days, because first of all, Facebook understood that, well, if we're giving them a lot of attention, the 2 million people that sees their content is actually going to click away from the platform. And we're going to talk a little bit about algorithms today, because I know that they can be really frightful, they can be scary. And as marketers, we have this idea since lots of years back that the algorithms are going to punish us, and all they really do is to just make sure that our content isn't seen. But our idea is something completely different. You can work with the algorithms, but we are going to talk about one thing that they actually hate, and that is content that leads audience away from the platforms. So BuzzFeed and Lad Bible, of course, there's still huge accounts on Facebook, but it doesn't really work like that anymore. And a couple of weeks ago, I read this amazing newsletter from, I think it was called the Etymology Nerd. I'm going to send you a link later. Don't quote me on that. But that guy started out his newsletter with this: everything on social media platforms is designed to earn them as much money as possible. And this in turn means that everything else, also the content itself, is considered secondary. TikTok doesn't really care if you publish a 10-minute video that it can contain whatever. You can talk about whatever in that 10-minute video. As long as you put something that's 10 minutes that people consume, means that someone stays 10 minutes longer on that platform than they would if you didn't publish anything. This is why they have a 1-minute benchmark for, giving money. Like, it's only possible to earn money from TikTok if your video is over 1 minute. And that's why Instagram keeps saying that our videos should be over 1 minute for it to perform best. They don't care what performs best. They only care that this audience stays on that platform. So this is why posting more matters. And this is what we're really going to talk about today. But I like to introduce some numbers just to like emphasize and give some confidence to what I'm saying. Because distribution, the amount of posts that you distribute, is like linked to how much reach you're going to get. If you publish, like I usually do 5 posts a week on LinkedIn, that's one a day. That's my minimum. I have to publish at least 1 a day. If I double that, which I do sometimes just to try it out, or I did a couple of weeks ago, what happened was that since I doubled the amount of posts that I published, I also doubled my amount of reach, because posting something means that people see something. So that will just expand your reach. Same thing on X, where posts have a really short lifetime span. You need to post at least 3 to 5 posts a day to increase your impressions, because a post only lasts for 18 minutes. So if you want more than 18 minutes, you're going to have to post more. You also double or grow your reach with 48% if you go from 3 to 10 weekly posts. And 1 post a day is 2 times more the engagement on LinkedIn versus if you only do a weekly post. So it all makes sense, but it's always nice to have some numbers. But then the question always arises. I don't think I've ever talked about this in front of a group of people, in which one of them has stood up and said, well, my boss only allows me to publish twice a week because he's afraid that we're going to bore our audiences out and we're going to overwhelm them with our content. I would be lucky, I would be really happy if I actually had someone come up to me, one of my followers on LinkedIn would come up and say, I think you publish too much. All I see in the feed is Story Kit. I'll be like, really? How did that happen? Because these days, I think organic reach on LinkedIn was considered around 5% of your following. A year, 2 years ago, it's down to like 2%. So the chances of someone actually seeing everything that you publish, they're so small. Unfortunately, I wish it was something else, but it's true. And the thing that algorithms do is that they prioritize activity and new content, because they want to get to know you and your content, whatever you like to, whatever you choose to publish, and they want to know your audience, because that's their audience as well. So that's why they will always prioritize activity. And as I said, everything is designed for them to make as much money as possible. It's their business model is based on people publishing content for other people to consume. And a short lifespan makes posting frequency essential on social. Like I often sound like a broken record, but long gone are the days when we could go online and publish. We used to do maybe marketing 2 really big TV campaigns a year. And that was it. It was like the worst thing we could do is to do something that was wrong, because it would take a lot of time and a lot of money to change. But these days, the worst thing that we can do is not do enough, because we can't go online on Instagram or Facebook twice a year and think that people are going to remember us in a few days. So the only way to stand out in today's crowded feed, and I sound like ChatGPT here, but it's true. The only way to stand out is to be relentless. And we have to share our messages over and over again until it sticks. So dare to post more. The algorithm's job is to make sure that happens, that people get lots of new content to consume. They will prioritize volume and frequency, because more things for someone to consume means that they will spend more time on a platform, and that means more ad revenue for a platform. So you can post whatever, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, that's fine. No one's going to see it. And another like comment that I've had based on these webinars is that, well, that was interesting, but she didn't mention video once. Today, obviously, we're going to talk a lot about video since I'm going to show you 22 videos. But the whole reason that this platform, the creation automation tool that you're watching, like that's me, but that was the platform that I work for, StoryKit exists, is because we know, and I'm guessing that you know as well since you're here, is that video is the ultimate format, it's the most native format for any platform. If you can tell your company's mission and vision and your brand stories in just one sentence or one image, that's great. But as soon as you have a longer piece of text, as soon as you have more text than just 5 sentences, well, you're going to need to break that down into a narrative that works for people to watch, to consume in the way that they prefer to consume content. So you can break down every story, how long it can be, into a number of mini stories that allows you to keep up a high activity on social platforms. You can make them entertaining, informing, simple, complex, you choose. They're eye-catching, obviously. People have still a tendency to stop if they see a video to a much higher degree than if they just see a normal text post or a image. It's good for any platform. We sometimes get the question, well, I've heard that LinkedIn is down prioritizing and they're not prioritizing videos anymore. Not true. It's boosted by every platform because you're much more inclined to spend 20 seconds watching a video than you are to watch an image. And it takes you 1 second to click on a link and 20 seconds to watch a video. Well, the platform is going to prefer that you watch a video for 20 seconds because that's 19 seconds more on a platform than just clicking on a link for 1 second. And you can really push your brand in a natural way. If you're using StoryKit, you know I have to put some type of USP or like sales pitch in here. I wouldn't be a marketer if I didn't. You know, recognition and familiarity in the feed is crucial since it's so crowded. So push your brand and don't be afraid to actually push it. Okay, water break for me. And now I've hopefully really hammered in the idea in your heads that you need to publish a lot and that you shouldn't be afraid to post a lot. If something doesn't work out, if it doesn't get the reach, the impressions, or the likes that you were aiming for, that's fine. You can try it another way the day after or later in the afternoon. So let's get into this. And since I said some of these videos that I'll show you, depending on their goal and what kind of story the video is aimed to tell, a video can range from 12 seconds to 75. So this means that we can either do this in like 12 minutes or we're going to need 35. So we'll see how many we get to watch. I'm thinking that I've broken these videos down into 5 categories. I think we have the reports, the blog posts, the recruitment ads, the product page, the case studies, and the press release and the newsletter. Is that 6 categories? Wow, we're in for a treat, you guys. So let's just get into it and we'll see how far we can go, how far we come. So let's say, okay, I'm going to back this up just for a second. The whole idea with this webinar in particular, or almost every webinar that we do, is to inspire you to understand that you never have to start from scratch, especially if you're a StoryKit user, because that means that you can just take whatever piece of content, text content that you have, and transform that, turn that into video with automation. But this also means that I will be frank enough to say that even if you're not a StoryKit user, even if you don't want to make videos, I still want to show you how you can take any longer piece of content that you have and turn those into mini stories that you can keep pushing out over the upcoming month. So the categories are like the stuff that you have on your website, probably. I also know that we're soon in the we're starting soon. It will be the end of Q1 this year, or tertial 1 if you're a tertial kind of company. That means that some of you are spending your time crafting these really long, either quarter reports, not the annual ones, maybe from last year. That's true. So yeah, I'm guessing some of you have a report. Let's see what you can do with that, how to turn that into a marketing tool. That's what I'm here for. Let's go. First one I created is an example of how you can turn a whole report into one condensed video, because I'm guessing that, first of all, one report has several audiences. You're going to want to highlight specific things for specific audiences. Your stakeholder is going to want to know one thing. The public is going to want to know another. Your investors are going to want a third thing from it. This is a way to talk to all of those people. So instead of like relying on that someone's going to click on your annual report or your quarter report, you can turn that into a short video that makes it a summary and takes out the key takeaways and shape that to a narrative that people like. One thing that I forgot to mention also is that this video is based on, we don't do annual reports ourselves, but there's a organization in Sweden called Internetstiftelsen, and they publish a report every year based on how Swedish people and Swedish citizens use internet. So it's a super fun read for a marketer or a social media person. So I took that report and turned it into this. And I'm guessing that this will, even if someone doesn't want to read the whole Swedes and internet report, they're still going to get a feeling of what the Swedes have been up to. And you can turn every subsection, every chapter in an annual report into a video as well. So there's content for days and weeks. Another way is to highlight a key figure, like an interesting number, and really start off with that. So I just chose one of the many statistics in this report and turned that into a video. You also see that the background assets that I've chosen, they come back in every once in a while because they don't matter that much. Like we're aiming for providing information in text here. Third thing that you can do with your report is to highlight a voice, someone that's mentioned in the report. This is usually the CEO or the biggest investor, but it's also nice to really highlight the people like me. Highlight me. No, but the people, that works with the things that are in this report. So here's an example of how to do that. Just take your piece of text, shove it into any kind of tool, or make it a text post, or make it an image. You do you. And use that also like a small CTA. So here's a cool quote from this report. And if you want to read it, well, you know what to do. Head over to a link or head over to our website. Here's the biggest chunk of videos for this category. In this section of videos. So 5 ideas for your blog post. And this is where it gets a bit meta, because the videos that I've created, the article that I've created these videos based on, is called 5 ways to turn a blog post into videos. So I'm doing videos that's talking about how to do videos, because that's the content of the article. Of course, here as well, just as like in a report or any other kind of piece text, you can take the key takeaways from a blog article whatever the key takeaways might be. It can be anything, something that you have 3 of. But it's also not a listicle. We'll get to that later. So, and this is really, you can you can do this for as long or as short as you want to. That's totally up to you. So the key takeaways in this blog post is how to use key takeaways in a video. So if you're confused, I don't judge. I am too, obviously. It gets a bit like I'm in a content distribution loop here and I can't really get out. But I hope that you at least walk away from today and feel a bit inspired that you can do so much with what you already have. Same thing here, a summary. Really just condense the whole article into a shorter article, but in video format. That's kind of what that is. So it's really just, if you do it manually, you'll just copy paste text from your blog post and put that in any kind of tool that you have, or you can use AI to do it. You can also give like ChatGPT your text and say, hello, give me the 5, summarize this blog post, and you can use that as a social media post in any format that you like. Listicles, people love listicles. You remember that from back in the days when we used to read the weekly or monthly magazines like Elle or Cosmopolitan or Kropp och Knopp in Sweden. There's always listicles. They're digestible and it's really easy it follows a storyline and in a chronological order that makes a lot of sense for our brains. So people love to consume listicles. So you can turn anything into a listicle if you want to. Small hack that you can use here is to start descending in a descending order. So if you have 5 of something, you start with number 5 and then you move yourself down, because we're also more inclined to read a text that starts with number 5 or watch a video that starts with number 5, because our brains long to get to number 1. So that's really like a retention hack that you can do. Fire away. Let's go, people. Third one, a how-to. Perfect for the awareness phase. When we do how-tos, we don't talk about how to create a perfect video in StoryKit on social media. We talk about how to use AI or how to turn your report into 5 text posts. Super good for the awareness phase to get your audience thinking about they have a problem and they want to solve it. You're going to be top of mind whenever they decide to actually buy a product that solves their problem. So this is the one. You can make that also just using this is how to get there with 5 steps, 3 steps, or just categories like these. 5th video is to just really use the headline. Now, I know that I'm starting off a webinar saying you can't publish links anymore because no one's going to click on those and the platforms are never going to boost that post. Sometimes we need to. It's also part of what we should want to do, because if someone even though videos are best consumed on social platforms as an in-feed format, meaning you don't make anyone leave the platform, it's in the feed, we still want to get some traffic to our websites occasionally. That doesn't have to be a bad thing. Start with a bang, something eye-catching, and then make people, add a link in the text somewhere. I saw that we got a question. So before we move over to your product page, I'm going to highlight this one for us. Will my brand be at the top of each video like StoryKit is in your examples? Thank you, Sarah, for this great question. Yes, it will. As you can see up here, I've imported, or in StoryKit, you build your own theme so that every video that you make will always have your fonts, your colors, and your logo in whatever corner you choose to put it. So it will be totally branded with your own company's brand. Thank you for your question, Sarah. All right, 2 ideas for your product page. And I know that this, I dabble a bit. Is that a word? This question every now and then, because I know that you don't want to be like a salesperson on social media. You want to promote your brand and your solution in the most unselling way, because you want people to consume your engaging content, not just act like a bottom of funnel account. But every once in a while, it's not a bad thing to just keep remind people of what you are and who you are. Maybe you did that half a year ago. Since then, your following has expanded. You cannot account on the fact that the people that you wanted to reach saw your product video the first time. So you're going to have to do it again. So don't be afraid of every once in a while, go on social and tell people who you are. Talk about who you are. So the first one that I've created is I really like I've taken small pieces from, our this is who we are kind of documents that we give to maybe new employees or new users when we want them to get to know us even better, and just turn that into a visually appealing way. So this is one that we've really tried to condense why StoryKit exists, why we want to make a video creation automated platform for everyone. It's because your consumers want to see more video. You're going to get a really nice ROI. Everything that makes StoryKit what it is and why we do what we do. I think this video is around 1 minute long, but of course, every subheading in this video will also be a video on its own. So so this is a bit longer, that I sometimes use on screens, on events, that we send out to new users, new employees, all of those. And I'm getting questions about the videos. I love this. From Lena in Orsa. I love Orsa. Will your videos be available to watch? I want to see which slides you use and copy and paste it. Of course, Lena. I would be happy to send out the storyboard IDs for you so that you can recreate them and see for yourself how I built these. And Sunny asks, which slide type do you use for the number slides? Are you referring to maybe the first ones here? Oh. I'm thinking that I've used flip text. But as soon as we're, this one, yeah, this is, I forgot the name. The big numbers, yeah. That count up. Oh, that's dynamic number. I'm gonna write that, dynamic number. That counts. Super nice. All right, another way you can turn any page on your website, like is it still called homepage? It used when I was a kid. Internet didn't exist when I was a kid, but back in the days, homepage, landing page, whatever you want to call it. So if you go over to StoryKit's homepage, it says make 200% more video with 95% less budget, and then there's a subheading underneath. And I took that and I turned that into a video, so that every once in a while we can, we can also use it to boost it on social media, to sponsor it, so we get some eyes on it, or I can actually just post it to post, which is super nice. Let's move over to recruitment ads. But before we do, one more question. This who we are video, how do you add the content in StoryKit? You mentioned you create with onboarding materials you already have. How did you come up with the text from these materials to insert in StoryKit? Well, I guess the boring answer here, thank you, Lucy, for asking, is that I've been doing this for such a long time so that whenever I see a piece of text, I see that as a video. And I just play around. And eventually, you publish something that people like. So for every video that gets a lot of, engagement or a lot of reach and that I feel like I can be 100% satisfied with, I've published 50 worse videos, like bad videos. But those 50, they were the ones that actually got me to understand what resonates with my audience or our audience. So this is a super good question for my colleague Shane. She does our user webinars. That is more like, this is how you do it in StoryKit. She can bring these questions up with, and I can send you the link to her next webinar so you can watch it. But all right, guys, here we are. Recruitment ads. Recruitment ads are such good social content, but they're often overlooked by a lot of marketers because you think that's the recruiter's job or that's the HR's job. No, they're great because they allow you to highlight what's really good about your company. And people buy from people and not companies. So you can actually really take your time to brag, like humble brag about why your company is so good. It's also a great thing that you're recruiting, like your company is growing, and you should put that online so that people see that you're doing progress and you're hiring more people. And yeah, they just allow you to really highlight and showcase your brand and your company in a really nice way. So right now, I think we have 3 roles out. One we published the other day is for a new enterprise activation manager. So if you know someone, head over to jobs.storykit.io. I just made myself cringe. Anyway, job ads are great to turn into social media content. So one way that you can transform your whole job ad into a video. You just copy the URL to your job ad, put it in the tool. You can choose the job ad video template, or the creator that we call it. So this really gives the idea of this role in its whole. So you don't have to add a lot to the text post. If someone's looking for a new job as an enterprise activation manager, they will get the whole idea of who you're looking for, what the job entitles, what they're going to do with it. So it can look like something like this. And it's so easy. You can change your background assets depending on like who's your target audience for this, the ideal candidate. They're probably going to look a bit different depending on who you're hiring. If you work for a restaurant, you can just choose assets with people working in the kitchen. If you're talking to if you're a bank, you can choose financial assets. The limits are endless. So as I said, this really gives you the whole scope of the role and the benefits that you're offering and what you're expecting someone to do in a whole video. But one video won't cut it, won't it? No. You need to publish your job ad several times for it to reach the right people. So another way to do it is to focus on the position, not so much on your company or the ideal candidate, but more like, this is what this role entitles, this is what we're looking for. Really focus on, this is what you're going to be doing as a enterprise activation manager. So this could be almost just, 20 seconds, and you can make 10 versions out of these and just publish them twice a week until you found your ideal candidates. So it's really, you can really turn recruitment into a marketing tool if you want to. And recruiting and marketing goes a lot of hand in hand. You have to build awareness, and you have to make people take action. So it all comes down to being on social media, really. You can focus on the position, and you can focus on the applicant. So let people know who you're looking for and who this person, you want this person to be, or what they're going to do. While we're doing this in the background, I can take up a question from Sarah. Is this webinar platform part of StoryKit as well? It looks super professional how you can bring in the questions from the chat. Thank you, Sarah. No, I'm using a webinar platform called Contrast that I can highly recommend. I will also put that in here. It's Contrast. But I agree with you. It's so much fun, more fun to work in a lot of other webinar tools that I've used. And one more question. What video format would you recommend for LinkedIn? 1:1, 4:5, 16:9. So I was a 1:1 type of girl for a long time. It's just really suitable for any kind of device. You can check on LinkedIn where your audience is consuming your content from. We have like a 50-50 desktop mobile audience. So I used to do 1:1 for a long time. Then I moved over to 4:5 because I just think that it takes up more screen, more height of the screen, and more screen is more visibility. So I started doing that. 16:9 I do when I repurpose webinars like these, when I put out small snippets, because that's how I get the downloading. But I've also started using 9:16, the portrait format, a lot more, since LinkedIn now has, at least on mobile, a dedicated video feed. I figured that maybe the chances of my videos ending up in that dedicated video feed is bigger if it's suited for that video feed format. But I'm always testing. And I think you can really choose what you like. But more screen means more visibility. So I'd go for as much screen height as possible. Because 16:9, it's just a small little landscape rectangle on your phone. So I'd go for more to the mobile side, actually. StoryKit's a B2B company, so we, of course, do a lot of case studies, but any kind of success story or interview or what's that called? Reportage, like any kind of editorial content that you have is amazing, of course, for social media. Let your customers do the bragging for you instead of yourself. So I've chosen a case study that we have with Canon. I think they're mostly famous or known for their cameras. They do a lot of things. And we did a case with Åsa. They're amazing. Now I'm going to remember her title, but we're about to see it. So 3 ways to turn your case study into videos. So, of course, again, the case study in its whole, like the summary, the company's challenge, your solution, and the results that they gave them. Really give the whole case study in its whole a second life with video. We have great creators for these. So this really gives you the background to why Canon needed this type of format. And since, just like I was saying to Ingvild, I usually do videos in 4:5 or 9:16. So I see that I forgot to adjust the picture of Åsa, who's a brand and event specialist at Canon, for this landscape format that I downloaded these in now that I want to show you to make them suitable for your desktop. But it really brings you like from A to Z why Canon needed StoryKit and what StoryKit gave them. So try to not focus on the fact that you can't see her face here. I'm sorry, what's up? But I'll show you another example. A quick quote. Turn every quote in a case study into one video on its own. That will give you content for weeks. Start with a bang. So that's what I did here. And there I remember to adjust the background assets with her picture. So it's really just a quote, because people love to see people on on social media. And since the fact that Åsa keep choosing to work with StoryKit, that's what like the main takeaway from any case study. And you can do that with every quote. You can change the background, publish, publish, publish. The storytelling, and this is like, it follows the solution or the challenge, solution, result kind of narrative, but you can just play with it, move around, take another piece of text from that case study. So some different assets, text is probably pretty much the same. And quotes, of course. Quotes, quotes, quotes. We love that. All right. Press releases, guys. If you ever do press releases, make them come to life with video. You can even do this without even touching StoryKit these days. You can just incorporate your RSS feed into StoryKit, and you can have videos based on your press release in your inbox the same minute that it's published. But we can also take a press release, put it in StoryKit, and out comes videos. And I have two examples here, and they're pretty much the same because a press release often follows the same format in text every time. They're built up with a certain narrative that you always do. So one is, just grabbing the main point, like the focus, the key takeaway from that press release and adding a quote to it. Deliver the most interesting finding and add a quote to add depth. And this is the one that we released last week, how we are breaking new ground in the US, since we're working with a lot of top universities and we're really expanding that market. And then I've added a quote, or StoryKit added a quote for me from our CEO, why we're doing this and why it's helpful. We don't have to watch the whole thing, but the other one is really just the most interesting finding and add quotes, more quotes. And I think I forgot to move the sound on this one. Little nice. All right. So turn your press releases into video, make them come alive with visuals and your existing on-brand, on-point messaging that you already have published somewhere. Newsletters. Newsletters are really a thing that the comms team at StoryKit really started to realize just a couple of months ago, like, okay, so we need one video for every newsletter. Like, this is what's in the newsletter and sign up. But then we realized, like, we are going to need 5 or 6 different videos because we want to make promotions to make sure that people sign up for it. And that can be super short or really long, depending on how much you want to give away in the video. You can use another video, a third video, to share it internally. You can make videos to make people understand what they're missing out on if they haven't signed up. You can do reminders that it's coming out a new one. Plenty of videos possible. This is the last category that I'm just going to run through with you. So one video that you can make out of a newsletter is to, again, deliver the key takeaways, the messages within that newsletter to incentivize future signups and deliver value in feed, because it's no piece of content is ever a once and done. You don't just publish a newsletter to your subscribers and leave it there. You can reuse it for content for as many times as you want to. So a newsletter a couple of weeks ago was how marketers need to adapt to in-feed on platform. And I'm lagging here, so I hope you're still with me. And I think that a lot of the videos that I'm going to show you based on newsletters are pretty much the same, but we have made some adjustments in terms of duration and how many key takeaways and how much we choose to highlight. Subscribe today. Sign up promotion, get people to take action. So it can start off in the same way, but instead of here's how to, instead of adding the tutorial in the video as well, you can just say, well, you need to learn how to do this. How is it done? Well, sign up and we'll tell you in the newsletter. You know all this because you're marketers, of course. But it's a good reminder. Am I right? You can just take the longer piece, the longer video that you have, and just cut it down as many times as you want to make it really short, snappy, and make people take action straight away. So this video is like 12 seconds. Why is the 90-10 rule the backbone of our content strategy? Well, sign up and you can learn how right now. And of course, the what you missed. If you've chosen to sign up for our newsletter, this is what you could have had. And again, choose for yourself how much you want to educate and inspire and engage in feed. So a bit lagging here, but that's fine. Social success tip. The secret to succeeding. Transform your existing content. You know, this is our POV that we talk about. I'm going to start wrapping up so that we have time for a couple of questions. But what I also want to leave you with is that reinforcing your key messages in this really like automated way will allow you to experiment a lot more with, you know, coming up with new ideas, the stuff that we do best, marketers. And some final thoughts, just for the fun of it. You have, all of you, a gold mine of content sitting on you at your fingertips. You have your blog posts, your job ads, your interviews, case studies, product, service information, etc., etc. You already have that, so you'd never have to invent the wheel again. You can just use that and give it a second life. Social media is not a display window, it's an ecosphere in which you can build loyalty and trust. And by keep showing up, keep being part of the dialogue, delivering value where people expect to find value, will ultimately drive sales and subscriptions to whatever kind of company, organization that you are. And of course, don't forget that video is the most native format for any social platform. And the horrors persists, but so do we. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. I can leave this one hanging. Is what I do, just like the questions that we talked about before. More screen means more visibility. 4-5 is my go-to. You experiment and do whatever you like the best. If the content's good, which obviously is because it's already been published somewhere and it's approved and it's on brand, whatever video format, or if you decide to do in text or an image, it's gonna work. I make sure to publish like my favorite post of the day in the morning because that's when I see the best engagement. We do a mix, of course, talking heads, text-based videos. I focus less on following, shares and saves is really like what sparks the algorithms these days. And I just focus on creating touch points. If we are going to try to bring in, you know, maximum ROI and increase sales every time we publish something, we're going to burn ourselves out, and no one needs that. Wow. Thank you so much for staying with me through this entire thing. That was fast, and no, it took a while, but it felt like fast for me. I will send out the recording and the presentation and storyboard IDs for the StoryKit users that want to recreate these videos and check them out. So I'll be in your inbox by tomorrow, the latest. Let's see here. Pascal added to the discussion that they always use 16:9. Does work on desktop as well on mobiles. 100%, Pascal. I agree. If 16:9 works, that's awesome. I really think then let's just keep doing what you do best. 100%. Thank you. But Neely asks, how do you post complete picture on StoryKit slide? What slide name? So if you want to make a video with no text on it, I go for the player slide. I'm going to write that down. Player slide. That only plays the video. No tints, no color, no text. Sarah asks, can you bring in your own branding images together with StoryKit images, but get StoryKit filters so they all look the same? Yes, you can. You can upload your own images and your own videos into the tool if you don't want to use stock. And then you can play around with gradient, tints, duotones. You can make it super branded or not if you want to. This is a really interesting question. How would you guide people to subscribe to the newsletter without when linking in the post isn't optimal? We're thinking a bit like this. If a piece of content, if you like promoted any piece of content well enough, and I'm just saying well enough because it doesn't have to be perfect, it's just well enough, people are going to find their ways to the piece of content that you're trying to drive traffic to. So when we post a job ad, sometimes I can of course write out the whole link in the text post, like this is where you apply. But sometimes you only say in the video, like head over to jobs.storykit.io and check it out for yourself without any type of linking. Because if someone feels attracted enough to apply for want to know more about becoming an enterprise activation manager at StoryKit, they're going to find their way there. So mix it up. Sometimes if we promote a job ad or role, maybe 5 times, 2 of those will contain a link because we want to make it easier for people too. But I'm not going to rely on that link. I also want to just let people know that there are roles at StoryKit. And if they're intrigued, they will make sure to find it. Same thing with case studies. You can like distribute a case study infinite amount of times. Sometimes we use a link just to make sure that this is head over here and check it out now. And sometimes we just kind of give the whole thing away in the text post and use a little video, because the importance here is that, at least according to me, and might be controversial opinion, but the important thing is that people get to know that there is a case study made with Canon. And if they want to choose to get the whole case study, like if they want to consume the whole case study, they will find their way there. But the most important thing is that we show up in people's feed and they discover, StoryKit did a case study with Canon. That's cool. Now I'm going to keep scrolling, because that's how social media works. We deliver value on the platform, and that will drive loyalty. So the next time when someone's seen that case study in their feed 5 times, they move over to a new job. That boss says, we need a video automation tool. They're going to think of StoryKit, even though they never consumed that actual case study on our website. But they consumed, and we created touch points for them. I hope that was an okay answer, that it makes sense. Tusen tack, thank you. Caroline, Redwan, thanks a lot for all that knowings. Thank you for joining me, guys. I'm super duper just happy that you decide to spend your time with me. Not the whole day. I'm gonna let you off now. But Christian asks, can you share some slides of the presentation? Absolutely. I will add a link to the whole presentation in the follow-up email with the recording as well. Michelle, I love the gradients you used in your examples. What's your go-to gradient? Actually, I just put on a 20% black tint over my slides, because I think that looks really professional. And since our colors are dark blue and green, that you maybe have seen on our website and such, I think that the dark blue can sometimes make it a bit like dusty. So that's why I choose black instead. And then the green I just use for accents. And then final question from Lucy. I guess my question was more in general about how you gather the text for the video if you have it somewhere else other than on a website or blog. For example, if you have a PowerPoint, do you put it into ChatGPT and then add the output into StoryKit, or how do you usually approach this? So I'm an old school StoryKit user. I was here before the AI became so prominent as it is today. So I'm really used to manual hands-on work. If I have a PowerPoint or a slide deck or a Word document, I will just copy the text from there and put that in StoryKit. So, everyone works differently, and I'm an old school type of user. Okay, Ralph says, many thanks. Enjoy the next coffee break. This was so long. I know I always overdo. I'm sorry, but thank you for staying with me, guys. I'm going to let you off now and enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you soon in your inbox with your, the recording, the presentation, everything. Have an amazing day. Thank you again. And I will see you in a couple of weeks. Bye.